welcome back to you. Welcome back to Mr. Grant Hines as we get into another tech talk now. And this one, especially for content creators, is going to be quite an interesting one, I think. There is a new bill that changes the way social media posts handle videos in South Africa and who gets to see what posts. Now, if passed, it has major implications on how social media is handled legally in this country and will be prohibitive for any content creators posting video or audio. I want to know more. To tell us a little bit more about this act and what it means for us is obviously Grant Hines, accompanied by Mr. Nick Hall, the CEO of Interactive Entertainment South Africa, in the swankiest jacket that has ever adorned this green couch, man. Sorry, you're never going to get away with that one. Spectacular jacket. Great to have you guys here. I suddenly feel a little bit nervous, and I don't really know why. Nick, I'm going to start with you. Give us a summary of the bill. What is it actually all about?
Okay, so the Films and Publications Amendment Act was passed into law back in 2019, I believe. And basically what it did is it updated the legislation that allowed the Films and Publications Board, which is our age classification body, right?
Yeah.
So they're the people who decide if a film gets an 18 age restriction.
For sure. Okay.
And it's updated to modernize the bill, modernize the act, modernize their powers, because obviously more and more content is going online. And one of the big changes that this bill brought about is that it allows them to classify online content. Now, this has led to a problem because whose content do they then have to classify? Because one of if you look at the technical aspect of how one goes about being classified, so it's a crime in terms of the act to release a film, and I use that in inverted commas because it is a defined term in the act to mean any video posted.
It's pretty broad, yeah.
Yeah, so a video posted onto TikTok, onto Facebook, onto YouTube constitutes as a film in terms of the act. And that then could be subject to classification, which would mean that you as the person who is uploading it would need to register with the Films and Publications Board and then get it classified. And at each step of the way, you have to pay for that. This is not something that just freely happens. So, I mean, that's why people are concerned about it.
Yeah, that's making... I'm not even... Look, I create content, but it's not my job.
So here's the thing. So obviously, there's the potential without any... we'll get into what's going to be happening in the next 30 days. But without classifying what those things are, there's the potential for... obviously, the everyday person, my mom, to get into trouble with the government for posting a diet video on Facebook. But also, there is an entire industry of people like ourselves who make some part of our income from posting media, video media, or photos on Instagram. And we know that influencer business is a big business. And it seems it prohibits that part of the business to grow and prohibits people to actually generate content. So South African YouTubers, any part of South African culture that we're injecting into the rest of the world through the internet is going to just completely be stifled.
Was there, I don't want to say a way around this, but a way through this for content creators? Because surely this has been thought of. Surely someone has thought about the implications of creating a bottleneck that is so tiny for a source of content that is so massive. I can't understand.
So, again, we kind of have to... the FPB has come out multiple times and kind of said they have no interest in classifying that sort of content. So that is something, at least. They've kind of said, look, we're not actually interested in it. And in earlier drafts of the bill, when it was still a bill and when we were still able to give comment on it, there were things like user-generated content was something that was added. And they've also done, they've added a term about if you're uploading content for commercial purposes. But none of this is actually defined. And the FPB has also tacitly recognized that, because we've obviously brought this up, they've said, like, yes, technically we do have the power to do this, but don't worry.
Grant's mom is fine, but that's... Yeah, don't worry, just my...
Don't worry, we're not going to do it.
That's not comforting at all. Like, you know what I mean? And also, it's not productive, because something that, you know, a lot of us do feel strongly with is that, yes, there needs to be some form of regulation in the space. We do believe... We've seen all the fake news that's going about. I just don't believe that the FPB has the power in the traditional capacity that they've had to, you know, at your local DVD store and at the film publications like board to monitor like millions of hours of content that's being uploaded.
But it's like two apples and pears. That's the thing for me. I get where you're coming from. So that being said, let's wrap this up with what content creators and commercial entities that play in that space need to be aware of.
What can we do right now?
Okay, so the big kind of announcement that's kind of, or the most recent change that's happened is that the guidelines to this act have now come out. So this is literally the rules that the FPB will follow when applying an age rating. So they'll say, like, if you have this much nudity or your game has this in it, then this is the age classification counts. That is now open for comment.
Okay.
What is good about this is that there is another opportunity for us to try and get clarity on a lot of these issues. And so as the public, you can make submissions to the guidelines by submitting to the Films and Publications Board your concerns. And the way that you need to frame this is that you need to say is that we need clarity on, use the guidelines as an opportunity to get clarity from the Films and Publications Board how they are going to approach user-generated content. If they added a rule, for example, to say, you know, user-generated content is not going to be classified, and that would go a long way to kind of show their intentions about how they're going to approach the thing. And that's
then you
that's
can
really
not worry.
And this is what we need. It's not that necessarily that it's like I said, if they need to put their money where their mouth is and actually in writing in an enforceable legal way show that they're not going to go after this content.
And you want it in writing, Grant. Your mom wants it in writing, Grant. So
we all do. The whole country who's using social media needs to.
I can get a sense that we are taking the first step on what could be quite an ugly journey, but maybe, as Nick has highlighted, an opportunity to talk these things through and get some clarity.
Get involved.
I think that's the main thing here, is if you are a content creator, have your say. Let's aim for clarity.